We talk about that a lot with this Bills team. They have to really trust you, especially in the secondary. I don't think they do. I mean,
I agree. We'll start with this question from Robin.
So there's still a damn good defense. I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana along with Jenna Cottrell. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We certainly appreciate it. What we have now is the You Ask, We Answer segment from our friends at Stellar for their great work. Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. We thank them for being a sponsor of this segment. So we've got your questions. We'll do our best to give you our answers and how it looks for this Bills team. Well, let's start with some of the biggest news, and it happens to be a question that was asked. Some of the biggest news around the league that involves the Buffalo Bills in a way. Jessica Alba 8335 says, I am sure there's a large percentage of Bills fans happy that Stefon Diggs had a season-ending knee injury. The news coming out that it's an ACL and a torn ACL. Jenna, what do you think in terms of people, I say, being happy or sort of wanting to see negative things for Diggs?
I don't think that's true. I don't think so. I mean, look, you can say that you were not sorry to see him go to the Texans, but for a player to have a season-ending injury, like you never want to see that. You just don't want to see guys get hurt. And so a season-ending injury, and Adam Schefter tweeted this out, what makes it even more worse is that he's on an expiring contract and he's set to become a free agent next season. So he bet on himself, and then the injuries are an unfortunate downside of this game. And now for him to be in this position of trying to rehab his way back, obviously, what will the market look like for him next season? We don't know. But no, I don't think Bills fans are happy to see Stefon Diggs hurt. It's a bummer to see a great player now be done for the season and have kind of an unsure future of what it will look like next because of the contract issues and everything. So yeah, it's sad to see that. You never want to see guys get hurt.
And especially when you look back, this is hindsight. You look back at what Diggs meant to this team, what he's meant to Josh Allen and his growth as a player. Look, you weren't hoping for success, right? Because there was no benefit to the Bills in terms of how many catches, how many games. It wasn't tied in that way. But I don't think people sit there. I think now if you knew people that felt that way, now when it actually happens, you feel badly. I feel badly for the guy. We talked about it. We liked him. I liked covering him.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good. I don't think it was as negative as been portrayed. And they got past that game. Yeah, they won. Whatever. Diggs is Diggs, is who he is.
Yeah.
But you are right. He's 30 plus, coming off a knee, which means his offseason is going to be tough. I mean, it's almost November. And it's a year coming back. And then teams taking a chance on a guy coming off a knee. I know he's made a lot of money. We're not talking about real people, real money stuff. This is NFL players, huge money. I wish him the best. From a football perspective, it's tough the Texans are good. Diggs was really helping them as that second guy whenever Collins comes back. But I think it was tough. And I think more of Bills fans, and I also, and Jen, I think you're with me on this. I'm a big believer in karma. I don't like thinking that about a player in that way. And then, happens to your team because you were putting it out there. I don't like it. I don't like it for the
league. You're saying like you hope Bills fans aren't saying they're happy because that's bad karma for the Bills.
No, not about Diggs himself.
Oh,
no.
That's why I was like,
no.
That is dark.
Because if people were thinking about, I'd like to see I just think
I don't
saying. Think, right.
You're not wishing anyone injury.
No. And if you do, it kind of comes back. So,
it is quite a turnaround though for Diggs. This is going to be a big thing. I mean, season-ending injuries, like you said, November, over 30 wide receiver. What will that look like in the market next year? How long will the rehab process take? I would imagine it's a pretty humbling moment because and we talked about it, like injuries are obviously a huge unfortunate side of this game, but Stefon Diggs has been relatively extremely healthy in his
Yeah.
career. So to have an injury like this, that's got to be really it's a challenging headspace to be in for a lot of players because your life is completely flipped upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. And this league, that 30 plus is tough.
Yeah.
And now with an injury. Okay. Becky says bills and penalties are absolutely ridiculous. Explain in layman's terms the refs' vendetta against us. Almost every flag in the Seahawks game was against us when we were making strides in the game. You were down on the field. Did you feel like there was a vendetta against the Bills?
I just felt like they were throwing flags for the fun of it at some points. I
Shh.
just felt like they
Throw them
were
up. Yeah.
why might as well. No, I mean, I think when you're a fan of a team, you're like, I can't believe they're doing this and I can't believe you're doing that. But if you're a Seahawks fan, you're like the roughing the passer call, like some of those calls, you're like, what's happening? So I think it's whatever viewpoint you see the game from. But yeah, look, I mean, it's not a secret though that there have been a lot of calls in Bills games. And I would take that as a look of like, what can we do to clean that up? And I know Sean McDermott has talked about that. So
Yeah.
some of the pre-snap stuff like that, where you're like, we need to do better at this, the holding calls. But at the same point, there have been a lot of calls. I hear that, but I think sometimes you you pay attention to the ones against the Bills more. And that game on Sunday, there was just a whole lot of flags in general.
Yeah. There was 24 accepted penalties, 13 against the Bills, 11 against the Seahawks. It was like that Jets game, which was brutal, but there was 11 calls on each team. And like you said, that roughing call late that took away
That was
um,
huge.
a play for which would have been they would have had to give the ball up or kick,
Mhm.
and they ended up scoring a touchdown before the half. So I don't think it's a vendetta. I think sometimes it's as the great Marv Levy used to say, you're an over officious jerk in the very Marv way. I think they're over officious. There's too many calls. But Jenna's point about pre snap stuff is easy calls for the ref. And the
Mhm.
Bills have done too much of that, and they got behind the sticks a little bit, and they're going to have to clean that up. All right. How about this one? This one comes from one Connecticut Bills fan out of Winsted, Connecticut. Thank you. He says he loves, or she or she says they love the pod.
They.
The
Mhm.
question is, what's up with Mike Edwards? Many think there's a need to strengthen the safety room. Would it make sense to give him a shot? We were both on team Mike Edwards coming in.
We thought he would be the starter. We're like, oh, unfortunate injury in the spring and then another unfortunate injury during training camp. But he's obviously been inactive, a healthy scratch for multiple weeks now. And so, yeah, it'd be great to get him out on the field. But obviously, the coaching staff does not believe that he has what it takes to be out on the field. Because if he can help this team, he would be active on game days. So I think that does say a lot about what they see out of Mike Edwards. So that to me is like clearly something ain't adding up, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I know he got hurt, like you said, and he was missing time and all, but he's a veteran. And I realize, Dan brought this up last week when we were talking about it. Like he was a spot starter and all, but he was on really good teams. They
Yeah.
trusted him in Tampa. They trusted him, two really good defensive coaches trusted him on the field. We talk about that a lot with this Bills team. They have to really trust you, especially in the secondary. I don't think they do. I mean,
I agree.
Cole Bishop's a draft pick. They want him out there. He plays
Mhm.
special teams. I think an issue for him is being that third safety. He would be like a fourth safety now
Yeah.
because they don't trust him on the field and they don't feel like he probably brings as much to special teams. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, he's just inactive every week.
It
Now,
it is surprising.
he's also got what I would consider a very tradable contract because it's just for this year. Maybe they make a move for the safety. He goes to a place where they maybe feel like he's a better fit. I'm just throwing that out there, or trade him for a conditional seventh rounder, one of those kind of deals, and they go
Yeah.
get another veteran safety. If they make a move, if they make a move, I don't think Mike Edwards is going to even be on the roster because he's
I
not even dressing now for games. So,
Yeah, agreed.
and this sticks with the secondary, this question. This comes from Richie. I believe it's Umbats. Chances of being moving Elam, and he references the need for a pass rusher. You know, we talked a lot about Kyer during training camp. He's had some moments on the field. Basically, they play those two corners a ton.
Yeah.
Those guys don't leave the field. I don't see them moving Kyer now. It's somebody who knows their system. And if they needed him, like right now, they haven't needed him. I don't
agree.
think they would move from him now.
I think so too, because I think he's your break glass in case of emergency. You've been very thankful and fortunate to have Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas out there all the time. But, you know, we know and we've talked about how injuries can be impactful. We've obviously seen it at linebacker. So I don't think it would be smart to kind of move a guy that obviously knows your system. He was a former first round pick. Do you still want to hold on to that? Like, I see why people think like, okay, this team could definitely use another pass rusher. I get it. They are getting Von Miller back, which is hopefully he'll be kind of on that trend that he's been on earlier this season of being able to show up and make big plays in big moments. But for Kyer, I think that they're holding on to him. And I don't expect them to move him because he knows the system. He can fit in it if there needs to be him into the lineup. And I think right now that's pretty valuable because I mean, yeah, we're in November essentially. So you want to have a guy that kind of knows what he's doing back there. And you're right. Like he hasn't obviously gotten a ton of, I mean, special teams in that, but I don't know. I feel like for me, I just am like, you know what? Kyer is a good backup to have in case you need him. And that's as soon as you were to deal him, I feel like something would happen there. Like that's just kind of how I feel.
And you need another corner and a guy who knows what's going on. Now, look, they made at least enough of a commitment. I think they've accepted the fact of who Kyer Elam is with them. You know, he was a number one pick. He has not played like that, but give him credit. He's out there fighting. He's going to play in the league. You know, if the Bills decided at the year end to move on from him, that's another thing. He has talent and maybe it needs to be in a different system. But I don't see unless they made another move for a corner that they liked, a veteran, because you know there's some bad teams in this league right now with some talented players that could be looking to make a move. But I don't see them giving up a ton at the moment for a corner because I got two pretty good ones, and you're talking about backups. So to your point, I think Elam fits with that. Tom Gelati, Geloti or Gelati. I hope I'm saying it right. Biggest stud and dud so far this year. I'll start with the dud.
Okay.
And then see if you go with me. And I'm trending up on him. But it would be Tyler Bass.
That's totally fair.
Because he's on the edge of the roster for a guy they re-signed. Now, kicked well. You mentioned to me, you texted me, but pregame, you're like, hey, he's booming the ball here. So he looked good, looked more comfortable. He's made his kicks the last few weeks. As we've talked about, I hope he's trending towards being really good. But he's a starter. He's the only kicker on the active roster, and he hasn't been great this year. Who you got if on that level?
I mean, when you said dud, that's like the guy that first and foremost kind of you're like jumps out of like, yeah, you need him to be better. You need him to be more consistent. You need him to be that guy that the Bills signed a contract to a couple years ago. In terms of another dud, I feel like dud is too strong. I do want to see more out of Greg Rousseau. He's had those flashes and those moments, but we talked about how important consistency is and just to see that extended. Even like Ed Oliver, you know, just him being more involved. In terms of a stud, do you know who I'm going to pick?
No.
Khalil Shakir.
Oh yeah.
I just
Oh. Now we got you back.
Okay.
We got you back. Yeah. You there?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't think the mic's on.
Okay. Yeah, I was
now you're back.
To my
okay.
mic. I hate this microphone. I need to get a new one. I just love Khalil Shakir. I really do. I think that I had picked him to lead the Bills in yards this season, and everyone kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And I just have been so impressed by what he's been able to do. And the demeanor in which he does it. And we always say, like, his intangibles don't jump off the page. They just don't. But what he's been able to add and the security blanket that he is and his ability to just make plays is awesome to see. So I feel like he's been kind of the guy that we never really saw coming in terms of what he could add to this offense. And the fact that he's the only Bills receiver who was here last year, for him to see the jump that he's had this season. And I just think that is like the maturation process, but also him, having that chemistry with Josh and needing to be a focal point more in this offense. I've just been incredibly impressed on what he's been able to do so far this season.
Our friend in Buffalo, Howard Simon, tweeted this out. Last 15 Shakir regular season games, 62 targets, 56 catches.
Yeah, like
90% catch rate, 784 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
You could set your watch to Khalil Shakir. Like, he's
Do you
so
set a
good.
watch still?
I don't know. Isn't that a saying though?
That's an old man phrase.
I've been hanging out with you way too much.
Yes, old man phrases. Okay, stud. Listen, it's because I think he's exceeded a little bit for me. I'm going to say Kieron.
Oh, that's great.
As a rookie, I don't think he looks like a rookie. I think he's got, he had the play, the block, and I had somebody arguing with me on Twitter. I said it was a dumb play. It was a dumb play.
Mm-hmm.
There is a benefit to it. You're showing a toughness, but don't take the 15-yard penalty. They got lucky. It was offsetting. I mean, we talked to Dawson Knox, and Dawson's like, yeah, we love it. Just don't take a penalty. That's what you need to do. But beyond that, he had that drop. You remember when he had the drop in the game against, was it Jacksonville? No, it was a deep ball. It was a deep ball. Oh, no, it was on the road. It was on the road. It was in the Houston game. Yeah. Wasn't it? He dropped a deep ball, came right back with 2 catches. Really good. And
he had the one that hit off his helmet and then came back for the
right?
down touchdown. Yeah.
So I think he's getting better and better. And Josh trusts him as a rookie. So it doesn't make him the best player, but we're talking about who stood out. Just like when you say, obviously Rousseau's good, Ed Oliver is good. You just want more out of the guys in those spots. I would say with Kieron, like, I have been impressed. I didn't know where he was going to be, but halfway through the season, I'm thinking if this is the way he is to begin his career, they're going to have a lot of good games with him.
I agree.
Josh Martin said, did anybody else catch Tom Brady saying Osiris O'Torrance?
Made him Irish.
Maybe.
Who would do that?
Now, here's what I think it is. We've talked about the people who are obviously Buffalo Plus subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, Tom Brady, now he's an owner. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on. He wants to know about the Buffalo Bills. I'm sure he watches Buffalo Plus.
Yeah. Your one-stop shop.
It is. So he heard Dan, give a little luck of the Irish to Osiris O'Torrance that he did. But yeah, more than one person caught that, which is hilarious.
I love that. Osiris O'Torrance?
Osiris, they said he said Osiris O'Torrance.
That's amazing.
Which is aggressive on the Irish front.
You're sprinkling in all the luck.
And I'm going to stick with one more here. This one from, I think it's Shady Ronin, is the way it looks like it came about. How do we feel about the pass catchers? Curtis Samuel injured. There was one less mouth to feed, and Shakir and Coleman really showed up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We've talked about it on this channel. Curtis Samuel had some expectations coming into the season, and it felt like there were moments that they really tried to focus in to get him catches and all this stuff. Made it a point to kind of force the ball to him. And we talked about how usually resulted in negative plays or drops or just wasn't helpful to the offense. I think having there be less mouths to feed and having the guys who have been able to eat get even more involved has bid well for the Bills. Look, you don't want to see a guy hurt, but I think you kind of have one less guy to worry about in a good way. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's, if Curtis Samuel's not going to do it, when we talk about duds, he's been a dud. He really has been.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be, as a professional receiver, going to be way better. And he hasn't done that. Then he's out. But Shakir needs the ball. Keion needs the ball. And forget second game. Amari Cooper's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And you have Kincaid. And then Dawson chips in. And you got James Cook. Like now, and Cooper, for the last game, one bad play, it didn't work. He slips. Josh throws it. Yeah. Don't worry about that. The guy is still figuring out where he is. He's going to be really good for them. But they have enough weapons now. Like with Josh Allen, they got enough weapons because these guys know their roles. But to that point, I do not mind extra targets going that way because targets are going to go to Cooper. They're just absolutely going to go there. So, every time you throw it to Shakir, he catches it. Keon's making plays going up to get the ball, and Cooper will run past people. So that's pretty good.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. I just got done an interview with Will Manso in Miami. Will's been a friend of the pod. Great. That'll be coming out on Wednesday. He's on it. He's an honest guy about the Dolphins, where they are. Some interesting stuff about Tua and the way things are going there. Where the Dolphins are, he gives like the game plan that could work for them. I know Bills are favored. They absolutely should be.
Yeah.
Miami lost again, but might have found something this past week. They still have talent. We know they have talent, but they just can't figure out a way against the Bills. So that'll be coming out.
I'm nervous for Tua against the Bills defense.
Well, if you think about it, he's had this happen just two incredibly impactful times. The one when Milano pushes him, he hits the ground, then comes back in the game, which started this chain reaction of bad reactions, because then the next week was that game in Cincinnati. And then this one with DeMar, where people are calling for him to retire. Both have been against the Bills in that way. Yeah, ran into DeMar. So, look, he's had those moments against the Bills, but he had the one against the Bengals. He's had the concussions.
No, I know. It makes me nervous.
Anxious.
Seeing him out there.
Yes. All right. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us for this. This is You Ask, We Answer. We do it every week, brought to you by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. We thank them for all their support of the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Jenna and I recovering from a red eye coming back.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I don't feel great. If we're being honest. I'll be fine. I'll be good. I slept for like 12 hours and it'll be good.
And by the way, just so you know, Jenna is doing this video on her Veterans Day off. So we appreciate that. We know you wanted to hear from her. So Dan will be back. Don't you guys worry. Dan will be back. He'll be ready to go. He will have all of his hot takes for the podcast on Thursday. Oh, by the way, we did want to mention that the podcast on Thursday will be recorded, not live. It is Halloween. Dan has little girls, big night for them.
Yeah.
Jenna has 10 parties to go to on Thursday night.
Oh, I love giving out Halloween candy because I didn't do it as a kid because we lived in the country. So
yeah. And I will be home to help my wife as we get the little kids in the neighborhood. So we are going to record the podcast and not do it live just for this week. So we just wanted you guys to know that for Thursday, but we will have plenty of coverage of the team. So that's going to do it for us. For Jenna Cottrell and Dan Fates, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching You Ask, We Answer, and the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Don't worry, I didn't forget. And we will see you next time on Buffalo Plus.
You did. It's okay.
Yeah, we got it.
we'll start with this question from Robin.
So they're still a damn good defense.
I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in.